Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I want to thank particularly Congressman Brady for helping to pull together this event today. I also want to thank the various business organizations that are represented here today. We have with us the Family Business Coalition. Thank them for all their support and their work in helping us advance this issue. We don't believe death ought to be a taxable event. If you look at what families go through when they're in a grieving process, it's really ironic that we penalize and punish them through the tax code after they've worked really hard over a lifetime to build up some equity, some assets that they hope to be able to pass on to the next generation. He's a great leader in the House, Kevin Brady.
I mean, can you imagine you work your whole life to build up a nest egg, to build up a family-owned farm or business, and when you die, Uncle Sam swoops in and takes nearly half of everything you've worked your life to save for. It's just wrong and unfair. We're going to continue as we go about tax reform, making this a high priority. I'm the ranking member of the Tax Writing Finance Committee in the Senate and a champion on this issue as well, Senator Hatch.
My friend Warren Buffett and I get together with him every once in a while. I doubt that he's going to pay much in the way of estate taxes because he can afford to hire the best lawyers in the world and he'll avoid most of it. But the average family farmer just can't do that. Neither can the average family business. Fellow Republicans and fellow Democrats will do everything they can this year to get rid of this dog.
Congressman Mike McIntyre.
Boils down to this. It's the wrong tax at the wrong time, hurting the wrong people. So this bipartisan, bicameral effort, I think, speaks for itself. Isn't that nice to hear that term today? Bipartisan, bicameral. Not many things, unfortunately, you can say about that, but this is clearly one of them.
Kristi Noem from South Dakota.
Well, when I was 21 years old, I was a college student, and my dad was killed in an accident on our farm. He was 49 years old, and it devastated our family. I was shocked when I got a bill from the federal government that said because a tragedy happened to my family, I now owed them thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. So I was forced with a very big decision. Either we sell land that had been in our family for generations to pay that bill, or I take out a loan. I chose to take out a loan, but for 10 years, I paid on that loan to pay the federal government what I owed them in death taxes, and it made it very difficult for our family business to survive. It made me angry. And actually, it's the reason why I ran for office.
Leader Mitch McConnell.
I've always felt the death tax was the government's final outrage, that you had to visit both the undertaker and the IRS on the same day. The death tax shouldn't exist at all. And I don't think any of us will rest easy until we get rid of the government's final outrage. And so I'm here to proudly support my colleague John Thune and the others who are behind us in trying to end the death tax once and for all.
We have with us Karen Madonia, who's Chief Financial Officer for a company called Illco Incorporated. Share her story.
My family owns a small business in Illinois. It was a very small company when my dad purchased it back in 1973. Every bit of profit he made got funneled back into the company so he could hire more people, buy more trucks, and expand his inventory. In our case, if something were to happen to our first generation and we were faced with a large tax bill, we would literally have to sell parts of the company to pay that tax. That would mean shutting down branches, laying off workers, or liquidating inventory just to be able to pay a tax bill that only occurred because an owner died.
Jim Martin, 60 plus. And a heck of a three-point shooter.
As long as I'm not guarded. On behalf of seniors and small businesses, here's an opportunity in the midst of gridlock for Democrats and Republicans alike to work for bipartisan fashion to repeal one of the most unfair, unpopular, and misunderstood of all taxes. USC law professor Edward McCaffrey, who is a self-described unrequited liberal, he now says this tax is one that liberals should love to hate because quite frankly, it will provide more jobs for workers if you get rid of the tax. I've seen a lot of taxes come. I've not seen many taxes go. If ever there was a tax whose time to go has come, it's this one.
Steve Foglesong, who has the owner of Black Gold Ranch. So,
guess what I do for a living? I'm a first-generation rancher. My dad is a plumber, believe it or not, and my children have been working side by side with me to pay for a ranch. We don't run off to Cancun on a very regular basis and take a vacation. We don't buy a luxury automobile. What do we do all that money? We plow it right back into that dirt.
Grover Norquist, Americans for Tax Reform.
You earn $1, the government takes some. If you save it, they want to take some more on interest. If you invest in a company, there's a corporate income tax. If you get a capital gain, there's a capital gains tax. If you get a dividend, there's a dividend tax. And if you're stupid enough to die, they want to take up to 40%. What we're talking about is ending just the last part of that sentence, okay? This is part of tax reform. It's been nice to chip away at it, but it's like crabgrass or something. If you just cut it back, it shows up again. We really need to pull it out by the roots, send it away, and then work on the rest of tax reform.
Let's repeal this terrible job-robbing confiscatory tax for a fourth and final time. Thank you.